Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to this training on trauma-informed care in school-based therapy. My name is Katie.
My name is Andrea.
My name is Sue.
My name is Corey.
And we are all Master of Occupational Therapy students at the University of Washington. This training is the culmination of our capstone project and was created after we performed a needs assessment survey as well as a thorough literature review. And we are advised by and mentored by Tracy Jerichowick and Mary Neifert. This is an outline of the modules that we will go over in this training. First, this module is going to provide an introduction to trauma-informed care. Next, we will discuss impacts of childhood trauma and chronic stress. Module 3 will go over the role of therapists in providing trauma-informed care. Module 4 will be the tiered approaches to intervention. Module 5 will talk about strategies for working with students. Module 6 will be strategies for working with families. Module 7 will go over strategies for working on multidisciplinary teams. Module 8 will provide suggestions for classroom and environmental accommodations. Module 9 will go over therapist self-care, and Module 10 will be a conclusion. And the overall time should be about 73 minutes for all 10 modules, including this one. So now we will be transitioning to Module 1, which is going to provide an introduction to trauma-informed care.
The learning objectives that we've created for you all for this module is to be able to broadly define trauma-informed care and also to be able to define and understand adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs. Trauma-informed care is a multi-level lens that is complex in nature. It addresses not only trauma-specific interventions, but also broadly organizational culture and practice as it relates to best supporting individuals who have experienced trauma. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the agency within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that leads public health efforts to advance behavioral health of the nation, trauma-informed care recognizes the widespread effects of trauma and the complexity of their potential paths for recovery. It recognizes the signs and symptoms of trauma from multiple levels, and it responds by actively resisting re-traumatization and fully integrating knowledge about trauma into policy and practices. So by implementing a lens of trauma-informed care, you're understanding and responding to direct and indirect traumatic experiences and transforming the organizational culture by modifying language, behaviors, and policies based on beliefs about resilience, recovery, and healing from trauma.
On this slide, I want to briefly touch on the definitions of trauma and adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs. So to prevent triggering previous traumatic events or new trauma, it is important to realize the prevalence of trauma and its impact on health and recognize the signs. So what is trauma? Trauma is single or cumulative events that adversely impact functioning and mental, physical, and emotional or spiritual well-being. Adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs, are events that can potentially lead to trauma during childhood.
Those are the example of ACE. So first one is emotional, physical, or sexual child abuse, emotional or physical child neglect, caregiver treated violently, parental separation or divorce, incarcerated household member. If you want to read the rest of the example, you can pause here. Those are the just example, it can be more. As you can see this picture, in a typical classroom of 30 students, only 6 students have no ACE. 11 students, which is 1/3 of the classroom, has 1 or 2 ACE. Almost a half, 13 students have 3 or more ACE. This means that 80% of students in a typical classroom experience ACE. Research found that 60% of adults have experienced one ACE that has negatively contributed their physical and mental health during childhood. According to CDC, approximately 1/4 of adults have experienced 3 or more ACE, so ACE are common. This concludes a brief introduction of our project. In the next module 2, we're going to introduce impacts of childhood trauma and chronic stress. Thank you.